It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we just got a brand new update from DBD, from Dead by Daylight Dev. It says the August 2025 Developer Update. So it says that right off the bat, we're talking about the slugging reduction update. I want to give my thoughts on everything that's supposedly coming in this new PTB. I'm pretty excited to just kind of dive into my thoughts. So first and foremost, it says that if a survivor is left in the dying state for 90 seconds during a match, they gain the ability to pick themselves up after fully recovering. So what I'm understanding, because it says a total of 90 seconds. So if it's saying a total, I'm not sure if it's cumulative, where it like raises up over time, or is it just like at once, where if they're on the ground for over 90 full seconds, then they're able to pick themselves up. It does say as well that it does have the option to disable the mechanic in custom games, which is good. They're actually paying attention to custom games because people do like to play those. And it says that perks are just going to work as they do before. It also says gradually increases the crawling speed, which is good for people who've been asking for that. Add the ability for them to recover while crawling. So basically they are giving us the base kit tenacity. So that gives you, movement while recovering. So, and then it says that they're going to change perks, and which I'm not sure what killer perks they're going to change, because they already took out knockout. So knockout doesn't really apply in this situation. So maybe they're gonna change. Maybe they're gonna change Deerstalker, because Deerstalker does give you auras of people on the ground. But besides that, I mean, that would be like what, one perk? So like, what other perk is there that involves having to do with the dying state? I have no idea. Pick yourself up if you've been in the dying state for 90 seconds. So it says that when it comes to slugging, it can be frustrating. And I'm glad that the devs acknowledge, but we also know that sometimes it's a smart move. This update system acknowledges this, allowing the killer to slug occasionally when they feel like it's the right call, but eventually kick in and swing in the survivor's favor. Slugging is used excessively too much. Which, in a lot of situations, when you are using slugging as a strategy, like I've said many times, it's a strategy. When you're using the slugging as a strategy, a lot of the time it's because you're having a flashlight squad. You have somebody who is about to save, so you need to be able to hit somebody to get them to leave, so you can just go ahead and pick up safely without getting blinded or whatever have you. So this is great. I'm glad that they're at least acknowledging that it is a strategy, and they are able to make the slugging a little bit more engaging. I think it's only a small portion of what the game's got going on, I would have to say. Like, in terms of the strength when it comes down to Swift, I mean, it really just depends, right? Now, this seemingly works sort of like how the anti-camp is kind of functioning, where if you're staying within that range, it kind of slowly increases. So obviously, because it has that same bar and stuff like that, so it must mean that, like, as long as you're able to, pick up safely and get the hooks, they shouldn't be able to pick themselves up. Because it says a big part of this also make the experience of slug more pleasant, as being slugged can be at recovery speed, more agency when down, staring and holding a button and waiting for someone to come save you. So it's supposedly more for quality of life when being slugged in the first place. It's still not saying that it's taking away the fact that you can use it as a strategy, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to slug some people, 9 times out of 10, it's mainly because you need to catch up in terms of pressure. So you want someone to pick themselves up, or you want someone to be out of the way for a moment so that you can then proceed to apply more pressure. So I also want to say that if it is like at the end game, when people are getting about 3 slugs or something like that, it should not be enough time to activate, because it says 90 seconds. So that's almost 2 whole minutes of them being on the ground. So that's a lot. But if you're getting a lot of pressure at the end game or something like that, they're probably not going to pick themselves up unless they're actively crawling away to try to get themselves to pick themselves up. But that's still over almost 2 minutes. That's almost 2 minutes. So I honestly think that we should still see it how it turns out in the PTB, of course. But I do think that this is still a good change overall, because it still doesn't directly nerf what slugging is for. but still also increase the quality of life for people who experience matches that they are just getting slugged all the way out to death, which is just unnecessary in a lot of ways. So let's continue. We have the tunneling reduction update. So this was a big concern among my killer players. I already know you guys are very concerned about this, but I want to make sure we can really pay attention, lock in, open those ears. Let's read this. So it says, when a survivor is hooked, their hook status is now hidden from the killer, right? When they're unhooked, there is no notification and their hook status isn't revealed immediately. This is disabled once all gens are completed. So at endgame, you'll still be able to see all the hook states, but they are removing the ability to see where the hook states are. Now, this will only matter if you're not paying any attention to your hooks. If you like, this doesn't remove the ability to tunnel if you need to, but you know, it just requires a little more game sense and remembering who you've hooked before. That's not a big problem. So when a survivor is hooked, their hook status is hidden, and when they're hooked, there is no notification and their hook status isn't revealed immediately. So obviously this is just going to require you to work a little harder in terms of game sense, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. It might be a little tricky for newer players because they may not be able to remember which person's been hooked or not, but I think that they might be able to adjust because you do get some new things. So it says, but we're gonna get to that part in a moment. So unhooked survivors gain the following effects. You get hasten endurance and elusive. So elusive status effect. So notice we were actually talking about this with Otofu, like with the Otofu's video that he dropped, and I had actually thought it wasn't too bad of an idea if done correctly. It says no collision with other players, both killer and survivor. So anybody unhooked will be able to go through everyone. They won't get the so it's going to be a lot harder to tunnel out in the basement because a lot of us were able to, you know, sort of like body block them so they weren't able to you know, we could run out the borrowed time and get the down again. So it says immunity to killer instinct and see the killer's aura nearby. So they're basically making kindred. I think, is it called kindred or forgot that perk that allows people to see auras when they're on the hooks or whatever. So they'll be able to hide from killer instinct, which only affects Legion. But even then, we actually seen that in the 2v8. And obviously, if you just have eyesight, you can still see where they are. So it's not like you're gonna really miss that unless you're unaware that you can hit them without killer instinct, but that's something that can easily just be learned over, you know, just by being told like, hey, you can hit that person after being unhooked with your Legion frenzy. These effects are lost when the affected survivor performs a conspicuous action. So this is good. So a conspicuous action can includes the generators, healing someone, trying to sabotage a hook, and other things like that. So I know a lot of people were concerned saying that this might be like a net buff for the killers, but as it says here, it says that it's lost right when they do that. So it's just like DS or anything else. They're either going to have to get on a gen, which will deactivate it, or they're going to touch a like totem or something else, and that will just remove it. So they won't be able to just have it and just be basically invincible forever, pretty much. And the good thing is they can't body block either, so that's really nice. They're just kind of forced to stand there and have to do something else. Now, obviously, they might be able to do that and walk around with, you know, trying to follow the killer anyway to give comms, but that's a whole nother discussion. But I do think that even if they are following you around, that also, to be fair, will allow for less gen speed if they are just staying on the killer instead of actually touching the E-generator and stuff like that. And it says all these effects except hasten endurance are disabled once gens are completed, so that's good to see. And it says added a unique effect to the killer hook state UI that indicates the last survivor they hook. So that's nice. So it says that at least it'll show you where, like, who you've hooked, at least the last person you've hooked, so you like can see that. So that's good. Now here's the juicy bit that I was very excited to read here for all of my killer players. You already know what's up. So anybody that's been keeping up, you know, I've actually talked about this exact idea, so I'm glad that we're finally seeing behavior listening to us. Let's go, finally. But let's hold our applause. We got to get in here. Okay. It says after completing a unique hook, the same survivor is not hooked consecutively. So if you're going for fresh hooks, killers get the following benefits. There it is. Killers get the following benefits. Get ready. Bonus damage for the next generator kick. Temporary haste status effect. Temporary barbecue and chili effect that has equal or less hook states to the hook survivor. Let's go. Right? Yo, this was exactly what I was talking about in my previous video with the Otofu video. And even in the past, I've talked about it in other tunneling topic, topic videos. This is what I was talking about. We give us an incentive to play the way that they want us to play. I've said this many times. I've said this so many times. Give us something that we can use so that we're more inclined. I was always saying, don't stop people from trying to do things. Give people reasons to do other things so that more people will be inclined to do those things. That's how you lead players to utilize more unique ways of playing. And this right here is how you do it. You give us bonus damage for the next kick on the gens we do. So that means that it automatically gives us a nice buff to any gen kick perks we have. That's very nice. It might be like an additional 5% or something like that, which is still quite good that it's over 10% of a gen. And then you can stack that on top of something else. Then it has a temporary haste status effect, which I was saying that they needed to do that as well. I thought that was a fantastic idea. And it even shows you an aura of the neck of a person who has either less or equal hook states to the hook survivor, so that you can move into the next chase, and then you have haste to help you get there. It's fantastic. It says these effects are slightly lessened for Blight, Dracula, Kaneki, Hillbilly, Nurse. Very nice. These effects are all disabled once the gens are completed. That's completely fine. And then it says added new effects that de-incentivize tunneling. So if a survivor dies before 6 total hook states, all survivors gain a repair speed bonus for the rest of the trial, which is a little bit tough, I gotta say. The only thing about this is that I'm a bit concerned with is obviously if somebody tries to quit. But the thing is that I don't think this would apply per se, only because they can't yank their own hooks to get themselves out of the match. So that already gives us a good safeguard for that. But also, if somebody's quitting, you can easily just get those 6 hook states for whatever the combination of that is, and then you can just, if anybody's quitting after that, then you could easily just get them out because they're not going to get that additional bonus. Now, we obviously don't know what the repair speed bonus is. And there may be survivor teams that might try to exploit this, but obviously it's probably not going to be very easy, I would imagine, because they have to have a conspicuous action. They have to basically force the killer to actually eliminate someone in order to receive the bonus. And in that, it's like up to the killer if they want to do that or not. If the survivor was last hooked to sacrifice or kills, generators cannot be regressed or blocked. That's the only thing that I'm a bit concerned about. Sir, directly acknowledging that Blight, Dracula, Kaneki, Hillbilly, and Nurse are S tiers with this right here. So that's really interesting that we're actually seeing which characters they deem to be strong enough to where these bonuses are not really necessary. So I have to say that's great. I think it's a great thing, especially as somebody who only really plays the lowest tiers. This is good. Like, having more haste and other things, other bonuses will help a lot of the low tiers at least keep up with haste and things like that, because a lot of characters lack map mobility. I've said this in previous videos. There's also a little like touch here when it comes down to the tomes, but obviously a lot of people are not really into the lore. Even though myself, I am interested in the lore for the most part. Now let's get into the Myers rework. Okay, so get ready, everybody. Whoever remains Myers, rest in peace. But let's get into it. Okay, so it says that you're replacing Evil Within with 2 modes that can be toggled to the button press. So Duke Rai, if you're watching this, literally, this is something you said. So shout out to Duke Rai. He says, okay, so it says Stalker mode, 4.2 movement speed, undetectable, and can stalk survivors. So you're basically moving at like about Nurse movement speed, but you're undetectable and you can stalk survivors, which is this is not bad. It's not bad at all. I'm glad that they're actually allowing for Myers to be a stealth killer, because I've said this many times. It doesn't feel like Myers is actually a stealth killer. He doesn't have any stealth capabilities outside of just his tier 1. So the fact that they're realizing that, and they're like, hey, Let's give him a mode where he can be going around and be like, you know, stocky, be freaking be what do you call it, stealthy. Jesus. Okay, so pursuer mode. 4.6 movement speed, 24 meter tear radius, increased vault speed, bonuses to lunge, range, break speed, and stun recovery, and cannot stalk survivors. I like that. That's really cool. 4.6, so this is basically combining tier 2 and tier 3 together into one mode. So basically you have the normal movement speed, you have the tier 2 24 meter tear radius, you have the increased vault speeds. I'm assuming they're combining them. The bonus to lunge, range, and break speed, and stun recovery, which is fantastic. I like the fact that there is a stun recovery. I like the fact that there's a break speed. Like, I was saying that for this character, like, we need things like this that can help, because and even Dukerai had mentioned this as well. Like, Myers doesn't have a chase ability, so now that we're giving him just these bonuses alone is already crazy. It says that once the stock meter is full, Evil Incarnate can now be triggered at will, granting the follow effects for a limited time, but they no longer are exposed, which is interesting. So they're removing the exposed status effect from Myers entirely, it seems like, which it means that you can still use it if you have it in your build, but it's not within the base kit like it used to be. So 4.6 movement speed, 40 meter tear radius, and an increase of vault speed. So they're basically giving the effect of like the tuft of hair kind of thing. I think it was the that iridescent add-on. Like, it would basically, oh no, it was the bunny rabbit add-on that would increase your tear radius in tier 3. So they basically made it a 40 meter tear radius in basically within tier 3 supposedly, and an increased vault speed, which I'm assuming is supposed to go on top of the vault speed you already get, which is fantastic. So that's great. And it says slaughtering strike. So hold the power button to charge his ability, reduce his movement speed. Press the attack button while charging to quickly lunge forward with limited turning. Adjust at your angle as you move. The length of the lunge depends on charge time. So this kind of reminds me a little bit of Pig, where like you're able to kind of charge up your ambush, and then you can't obviously adjust your angle as much. But I like the idea that we're giving Myers an option for chase now. This is what I was saying that a lot of characters need. This is what I've been saying that a lot of low tiers are really desperately need in a lot of situations. So the fact that Myers can finally leave the C tier is going to be definitely a shock. Will he be anything beyond A or maybe even B tier? Probably not. But the fact of the matter is, he's gonna finally leave the C tiers, and this is shocking. It's just great, you know what I mean? And it's I still beg the question as where's the Ghostface Ghostface buff when? But obviously I'm so glad for the Myers players. I'm also like, I occasionally play Myers. I am on the road to P100 Myers myself, so this is quite exciting for me as well. And it says if a killer and the survivor enters the killer's attack range while lunging, they're knocked into the dying state. This is just fantastic, dude. Like, you have an ability that's even better than the ambush though, because it doesn't take a full health state. It one-shots them. Yes, look, this makes Myers scary now. Like, let's go. This is so exciting. This ability can also be used to destroy pallets. That's so hype, dude. Now you give his power utility, you give his power lethality. God, that's exciting. Oh man, that's so good. Oh, that is so good. Oh man, I wish they would update his model too, but whatever. Unlocks the ability to grab and kill or perform a regular Mori on survivors who would die the next time they are hooked. Interesting. So does this count towards your Evil Incarnate is my next question. But I like the idea that it says you can perform a regular Mori on survivors who would die the next time they're hooked. So they're giving him also the Pyramid Head treatment, which is if you're able to get 2 hooks and they're tormented, then you can easily just get a Mori off, which is so nice. That's so cool. I love that, honestly. Adjusted some of the mechanics of stalking, so it says remove the limited pool of stock points. God damn, Myers is finally not going to be a C tier. Let's go. Oh my god, look at that. Remove the stock range to 32, reduced rather, and remove the distance modifier. So it's going to be a flat bonus at 32 meters. Moving while stalking has increased movement speed, but incurs a reduced stalk rate. That's kind of cool, actually. That's kind of cool. Because Dukerai had also mentioned he wanted to have increased movement speed while stalking as within the base kit. But the other alternative to this is that it reduces the stalk rate. I like that. Because when I would play Myers and I would stalk, I would stand still because I wanted it to be more like the movies. I wanted to like replicate that, where he just kind of stands there menacingly as he stares you down. That was so cool. Reworked his add-ons. So it says, by moving away from linear evil within tiers, players have more choice on how they approach situations. Slaughtering Strike makes for a high threat offensive attack, allowing killers to quickly close the distance on their prey, maintain some control, get those insta-downs the shape is known for working up to. Understanding his kit has changed quite a lot. We've done a pass on nearly all his add-ons. We're working many of them so they offer you more unique effects. Stay tuned for patch notes for full details. I'm excited for that too. And then Clown says, nice. They're actually giving Clown like a nice like little adjustment, so he's actually a little bit better. Because like I've said many times, like I just think that they really made him very mindless when they would play Clown. So the fact that they're increasing the activation time on the yellow bottles, that's a fantastic update. Like I was just saying like that's what they should do for the Clown. Like just adjust a couple values, maybe reduce the haste, or maybe like do something like that, because he's not completely overpowered, but he just needs a little something. So the fact that they're at least taking that into account, that's fantastic. It increases how long the hindered effects lingers after leaving smoke is also fantastic, because people weren't using pinks because they sucked. Like they nerfed the crap out of the pinks, and then like nobody wanted to use them anymore. So now that we're having it where the pink is gonna last a little longer, that's going to help out a lot, because I think the hindered only lasted about 3 seconds, so it really wasn't that long, and it ran out very quickly. So I'm glad that that's happening. Unknown's getting a buff too. It says that the increase the duration of weakened when injured by a UVX projectile. That is really fantastic. And it says that they have increased movement recovery after teleporting, increased camera vertical range. Now you could go for some really good snipes on the Unknown. What a W. And just several add-ons. It's so nice. The Unknown is largely considered to be fun to play as and against. We want to preserve that while adapting to the current state of gameplay. We buffed the UVX slightly while taking what we learned from the animatronic to allow for orbitals, improving UVX aiming and making for even more fun gameplay. It's also likely no surprise that blurry photos, the most used add-on, given the importance of speed recovery. To help create an opportunity for more add-on experimentation, we converted a portion of this add-on into a base kit buff, while also doing a pass on their add-ons that are due for some adjustments. They're finally buffing Unknown. Like I was saying this in another video, like they need, like Unknown needed a little something, you know what I mean? And it's like, this is great. It may not be exactly what I was hoping it would be, but the fact that Unknown is at least getting some buffs is good to see, because it could help, you know, supplement some of the issues that Unknown does have. And the fact that they're able to increase the turn, like the I guess the camera vertical range, that's fantastic. Like honestly, that's incredible. Then we have the Dark Lord, so reduces the Hellfire cooldown. Hell yeah, I always use Hellfire. This is awesome. Increases total Hellfire pillars by 1, so that's a W. I'm glad they did that, because that means it'll increase the range slightly. Reduces the Hellfire charge movement speed. Oh no, don't reduce the charge movement speed, please. Come on. Increase the slowdown time after casting. No, don't do that to me. Do you know how much I sacrificed? Come on. Increases the pounce attack charge time. Increases. Damn, bro. I didn't know it was a nerf. Increase movement friction to make flying easier to control. I mean, bat form is cool, but damn, they nerfed the other parts. Vampire form is slightly less suppressive and short loose, while movement slowdown had less of an impact in toning down wolf form's mobility, which has been outclassed some dash killers. Oh. On the flip side, you'll find bat form easier to control in tighter spaces, and you can use slightly more frequently and reach further with it. Yeah, it's kind of like mid. I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's all right. Now, the only problem is Oni. He does kind of get a little bit nerfed by the slugging changes. That is the Unfortunate reality, but they did try to compensate by giving the hooks more blood orbs, but damn. It says that we understand that with the changes we're making to address slug and the impact the only slightly, we want to mitigate this by turning hook survivors into a greater source of power. Damn, bro. So you can't like go for your like multiple slugs. You kind of got to get one or two and just like immediately pick up. Like that sucks, man. I don't play Oni, but that might mean I won't play him at all at that point, because damn, like that hurts. That hurts the Oni right there. And then there's also some general perks, balance updates, and kind of unnecessary. Like, you know, if you're using slugging as a strategy, you ultimately are just trying to create a window of pressure. So you're trying to get a survivor out of the way for a moment while you go after somebody else, right? So then you can have a third survivor come in and try to pick up their teammate. You know what I mean? Like, that was the main purpose of it. Now, obviously, was it used outside of that? That's a whole nother discussion that has nothing to do with what I was talking about. Now, this is to combat that aspect of it, because there are some people that were just leaving them out there all the way till death, and that just isn't, like I've said, like, you don't necessarily need to do that. Like, you know, now, are there cases where they just like crawl off and you can't find them? You know, that's a whole nother discussion. Obviously, that's just them crawling out for no reason, but for the most part, I think this is a solid change, mainly because it adds a little bit of depth to that aspect of the game, because, like, obviously, the main point of leaving them on the ground is because you don't have time to hook. So, being able to leave them on the ground, they're gonna do whatever they do. You can move on, do something else. That's the whole point of slugging. So this is pretty much not going to affect players that are specifically using it to be strategic. And the only concern I have is obviously with the other stuff here that says that gens can't be regressed or blocked if that survivor was hooked or was killed before the 6 hook states. So that kind of burns a little bit, but obviously if you're engaging with the bonuses, because in my opinion, like, you should be going for bonus damage, you should be going for haste and going for aura, because that's like, those are just base kit perks now that you can just utilize, and you won't even have to go for that same survivor necessarily. Now obviously you can go after them after you're done with your hook or whatever, because it's saying that it'll show you the aura of the equal or the either less or equal hook states. So you still have the choice to go for either that same survivor or whatever have you, but either way, like, it doesn't remove the strategy when it comes down to playing the killer side at all. And I think it also opens up opportunities for maybe even the lower MMRs and the mid MMRs, which the vast majority of people are in anyway. They'll get a lot more from engaging with these bonuses than just sticking with the usual strategy from before, if you ask me, right? Because, like, obviously at the highest MMR and stuff like that, like the genuine, you know, like, toughest teams with Swifts and stuff like that, obviously we still have yet to see how this is gonna work. But at the end of the day, for the vast majority of the player base, I think they're gonna be fine. As somebody like myself, I'm gonna have to see how it's gonna work, obviously. Now, I played the game a lot less, so maybe maybe we'll see, right? If that means that the character is gonna be way more interesting to play, then I'm here for it. Clown as well, great change. Unknown buff is a great change. Dracula getting a little bit of a nerf kind of sucks, but that's okay. And then Oni just getting absolutely punched in the stomach is not great either, but for the most part, fantastic changes. It's great to see. Hopefully, we just have to see what gets added into the game, but that's my thoughts. Probably a long yap session, but if you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube things. Check out the description for ways to support the channel. Check out the other videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.